hell broke loose on Tuesday when Taylor Swift announced international tour dates for her Eras Tour in Latin America, Europe, Asia, and Australia. And who did she leave out? Well, of course it was Canada, and it caused an uproar. The decision resulted in the hashtag #CriesInCanadian trending on Twitter, and fans started posting about how disappointed they were with the announcement. But people are not just sad, they're also angry. Now, federal lawmakers are stepping in. On Wednesday, there was an official grievance filed with the House of Commons by Conservative Alberta MP Matt Generot. In the letter he wrote, "It has come to my attention that despite much anticipation, Taylor Swift's Eras Tour has neglected to include any Canadian dates or locations as she released her international dates, which includes stops throughout Asia and Europe." The MP said that he was filing the grievance on behalf of all Canadian Swifties and asking Taylor to reconsider. He said, "Not only is this leaving Canadian fans without the opportunity to see her tour, but it's also leaving Canada out of the economic opportunities that her shows generate." He mentioned the fact that Taylor's shows are estimated to generate about $4.6 billion for local economies. Because fans don't just attend concerts, they spend money at local businesses, including hotels, restaurants, and shops. He ended the letter by saying, "This motion is non-partisan in nature and requires swift action to address what I can only assume is a serious oversight." In fact, the motion received support from both sides of the House. The Eras Tour is Taylor's 6th world tour and her only one to admit any stops in Canada. Her last performance in Canada was all the way back in August of 2018, when she stopped in Toronto for her Reputation Stadium tour. So it's no wonder that fans had so much anticipation and hope that she would return. On Tuesday, she unveiled a list of international shows in 2024, including Europe, Asia, and Australia. After a break in December and January, the tour will pick back up again in Tokyo, Japan, and it will follow with stops in major cities like Melbourne, Australia, Sydney, Australia, Singapore, Paris, Stockholm, and Sweden. Then she'll wrap up the tour with 2 final shows in London in August of 2024. Taylor is currently halfway through the US dates of her tour, and it will continue this weekend with 2 shows in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The only thing that seems to be a recurring issue for fans is their dealings with Ticketmaster. In fact, the ticket sale website has proven to be a disaster in the months since the tour was announced. This problem is so widespread that it even led to a Brazilian lawmaker introducing a bill which is nicknamed the Taylor Swift Law. It's supposed to stop scalpers that make buying legal tickets for her show nearly impossible. Taylor is playing 3 shows in Sao Paulo, which is where a bill was introduced that would criminalize ticket scalping with penalties of up to 4 years in prison and fees of up to 100 times the original ticket price. Tickets for the Latin American branch of the Eras Tour have generated so much excitement and chaos that online scalpers have overwhelmed servers and pushed real fans to the end of the queues. There are even in-person scalpers who are known to get violent in an attempt to buy tickets for resale. This was also a major issue back in January when over 3.5 million people registered to get a pre-sale code from Ticketmaster's verified fan system, but only 1.5 million fans were sent codes to access the pre-sale. The company then said that due to bot attacks as well as fans who didn't have codes, they reported that 3.5 billion total system requests were recorded during that pre-sale. As a result, fans were stuck for hours and the website itself was frozen or it kept crashing at checkout. In the end, 2.4 million tickets were sold during the pre-sale alone. Ticketmaster later cancelled the general sale due to what they called insufficient remaining ticket inventory to meet the demand. Essentially, the verified fan system is meant to ensure that fans get their hands on tickets before bots and resellers do. But shortly after the pre-sale, tickets began popping up on ticket resale websites for ridiculous amounts of money. Sadly, fans were either faced with paying thousands of dollars more for a ticket or missing out on the opportunity to see their favorite artists perform. It was just such a mess no matter which way you looked at it. Alright, now it looks like Nicki Minaj's neighbors are trying to kick her out of the Hidden Hills. There's a petition circulating online from Hidden Hills residents worried about Nicki and her husband Kenneth Petty moving into the fancy neighborhood, and hundreds of them have apparently signed it hoping to keep them out. The petition was started by a resident named Beverly Barton, and it takes issue with the fact that Kenneth is a registered offender, considering the fact that he was convicted of attempted SA back in 1995, in a case that landed him in prison for more than 4 years. He recently filed new legal documents changing his address on the Megan's Law website, so that's most likely when the neighbors took notice. Nicki and Kenneth bought a mansion in Hidden Hills back in December, although Kenneth is currently serving 1 year of home detention for failing to register as an offender in California. The residents seem to be concerned about more than just their safety though. It's been suggested that the mere presence of him in the community would hurt their property values and would affect the general feel of the area. So there is clearly a strong pushback to the idea of him moving in, despite the fact that they've already bought the $19.5 million home. The petition says Kenneth Petty is a level 3 offender and has a high likelihood of reoffending. He was also found guilty for killing a man. The Petty couple moving in would lead to the appraisal of our homes going down due to safety concerns. It would lead to children and women being a target. We, the residents of Hidden Hills, must put our residents' safety first. Don't wait to receive a letter from the government saying that a predator has moved in near you. Do not allow this dangerous offender to live near you. This situation is just the latest example of how controversial Nikki and Kenneth's relationship has proven to be. Because of his criminal past, Nikki has had to defend him from criticism numerous times. In August, the couple were sued by Jennifer Hugh, the woman he was convicted of attempting to SA. She filed a lawsuit against the two of them, accusing them of continually targeting her to try to make her take back her claims. Apparently, Nikki called several times to speak with her about recanting the story, and she received numerous phone calls and unexpected visits from individuals associated with the couple. At one point, even Nikki's publicist was in talks to pay her a visit in order to discuss her statement. The lawsuit states that Jennifer has not worked since May of 2020 due to severe depression, paranoia, constant moving, and threats from the defendants and their associates. She's currently living in isolation out of fear of retaliation. She's since claimed that her life has been uprooted by Nikki and Kenneth, and most of this goes back years. She opened up about the life-altering backlash she received when she decided to step forward and share her account of the incident. The constant intimidation and targeting led her to live a life of secrecy and privacy. She claimed that the couple even offered her upwards of $500,000 to take back these claims, but she refused. Over a year ago, Nikki announced that she was officially married to Kenneth Petty. The rapper excitedly shared the news with her fans on the popular show Queen Radio. The pair had allegedly been dating since 2018. In several interviews around that same time, Nikki alluded to the fact that she'd been dreaming of her wedding day since she was a child. By the time she announced her marriage though, fans already knew that Kenneth was a registered offender, and that's when the backlash began. At one point in 2019, she responded to the controversy that she received for marrying him by declaring her husband had been wrongfully accused of attempted SA at the age of 15. She also claimed that Jennifer had written a letter to the judge in 1995 requesting to recant her statement. According to Nikki, when Jennifer figured out that he would go to jail for 90 days, she decided not to recant her statement. Nikki has been defending him for their entire relationship. In December of 2018, after receiving backlash from fans on social media, she stood up for him in her Instagram comments. When speaking about the charges of SA, she said, "He was 15, she was 16 in a relationship, but go off internet." Then in a 2019 episode of Queen Radio, she said, "When you're someone's wife, you've got to be more prayed up, because you've got to cover your husband in prayer." This was a direct response to the criticism that was raised after Nikki announced that she had married him. In November that same year, Wendy Williams spoke about their relationship and said that Nikki should never have married him because now she's ruined everything about what her brand could be. She then directed her staff to get digging into his illegal history and said, "There's more on him, everybody get to digging." Nikki responded via Queen Radio and said, "I didn't know that in our society you have to be plagued by your past. I didn't know that people can't turn over a new leaf. I didn't know that your viciousness and evilness was this deep-rooted." She also accused Wendy of reporting on his past with evil intentions and claimed that she wasn't just trying to do her job. Now let's talk about the rumor that killer whales were behind the Titan implosion. As we now know, the search for the missing Titan Submersible ended in tragedy. The US Coast Guard announced that they found debris which is consistent with a catastrophic implosion, which is believed to have happened on Sunday morning, about an hour and 45 minutes into their descent in the Atlantic Ocean. The divers discovered the tail cone of the Titan Submersible approximately 1,600 feet from the bow of the Titanic on the sea floor. Before the discovery was made, there were all kinds of rumors swirling on social media as to what could have caused the vessel to go missing. At one point, the idea that orcas could somehow be responsible was brought up, given the fact that the pod of orcas off the Strait of Gibraltar have sunk 3 ships. But experts warn that this was always a false theory, and it's actually damaging the animal's reputation. Marine Mammal Research Unit Director Andrew Tides spoke to Newsweek about the rumors. He said that although orcas do live in the North Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Canada, they don't dive deeper than 100 meters into the ocean, whereas the wreckage of the Titanic is approximately 4,000 meters deep in the ocean. So he says that there is no way this population of killer whales could be involved with what's happened to the submersible. The accident accidental sinking of ships because of damage invoked by killer whales is unique to the Orca pod off the coast of Spain and Portugal, though the population does not interact with other pods, so other pods would have to develop this action completely on their own, which is extremely unlikely. Also, submersibles are just made of different material to sailboats, given the extreme pressure that the vessel has to endure when it dives thousands of meters deep into the ocean. It would just be impossible for any animal to damage the exterior enough to sink it. The sailboats that were damaged are often made out of fiberglass, which is a very fragile material, so it's a lot easier to damage. Experts worry that this kind of speculation about killer whales is actually harming their reputation, the reputation of the whole species. Monica Whalen, the director of the Orca Behavior Institute, spoke to Newsweek and said that the media coverage on the orcas is bordering on unhinged, and it could result in people becoming afraid of the whales for no reason. She said, "My concern is for the whales, and who outside of the small population near the Strait of Gibraltar have absolutely no interest in interacting with vessels of any type." So this theory has been completely debunked. As for the tragedy of the Titan, it's been reported that an implosion is certainly what caused the deaths of the 5-person crew. This horrific accident resulted in the loss of British billionaire Hamish Harding, Pakistani billionaire Shahzada Dawood and his son Suleiman, French diver Paul Henry, and OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush. Leading the search was Rear Admiral John Morga, who has now offered his condolences to the families and said that he hopes the discovery can bring them some solace during this difficult time. So over the weekend, fans noticed that Selena Gomez unfollowed a handful of celebrities on Instagram, even ones you wouldn't expect, like Bella and Gigi Hadid, Zayn Malik and Zendaya. So of course people were wondering if something happened. Did she have a falling out with some of her friends, or was it something else? It would be way too easy to jump to conclusions and say that she's feuding with all of these celebrities at once. Thankfully that doesn't seem to be the case. A source close to Selena has now spoken out against the rumors that any kind of drama has unfolded. They said there are absolutely no hard feelings with anyone that she unfollowed. Of course, it is interesting on a basic level that Selena unfollowed these 3 celebrities specifically. As we know, Zayn and Gigi used to be in a relationship together and they share a child as well. And just a few months ago, Selena and Zayn were seen kissing while on a date together, but it didn't really seem like Gigi had an issue with it. We know that it was just a fling because they aren't actually dating at the moment. Earlier in the month, Selena confirmed her relationship status in a hilarious TikTok that showed her shouting at athletes during a soccer game. She yells, "I'm single, I'm just a little high maintenance, but I'll love you so much." Then in the comment section she wrote, "The struggle, man." So yeah, she's definitely single. Over the years, Selena has been very open about her complicated relationship with social media. She says it's healthier for her to limit her time online because she would be constantly crying and have very high levels of anxiety. She talked about reading negative comments and said, "I couldn't do it anymore. It was a waste of my time. The only thing I have on my phone is TikTok because I find it to be less hostile. There are wonderful things about social media, connecting with fans, seeing how happy and excited they are and their stories, but usually that's filtered through for me now." Selena explained that she created a system where everything she does, she sends to her assistant who then posts these photos. As far as her comments, her team puts together a few things that are encouraging and supportive, and that's what she uses. All of this helps her to limit her time on social media and keeps her away from any negativity, which makes a lot of sense considering how crazy the last couple of months must have been. There's no doubt that out of the 2 of them, Hailey Bieber was getting a lot more hate in the comments section, but Selena wasn't exactly free from that either. There were quite a number of fans who at one point sort of switched sides and decided that Selena was the one who was playing victim, and to think that all of this started because of a perceived instance of bullying online. Coming out of that, it makes sense that both women have become wary of social media and the way their words can easily be twisted to reflect a certain narrative. After all, there's nothing pop culture loves more than a celebrity rivalry, especially if it's between 2 women and over a man. At a certain point, this drama had everyone in a chokehold, and sooner or later they felt the urge to pick a side. One reason why it was just so easy to be against Hailey is because of the narrative that she was a mean girl. She was painted as this one-dimensional character who only cares about external validation like boys and status. That's why she even got dragged for taking Justin's last name when they got married. One viral Twitter post said, "It's funny to me how Hailey slapped the Bieber last name on her online presence immediately, while other celebrities stick with their maiden names because they are already established on their own." So they were basically accusing her of using Justin's last name to increase her social status. Selena, on the other hand, was painted as the queen of kindness, someone who values things like female friendship above all else. And this is the kind of narrative that's been going around for more than 5 years, or ever since Justin seemingly dumped Selena to be with Hailey. It didn't help that for the last couple of months, most of the discourse has taken place on TikTok, which is the perfect breeding ground for fan theories. So it's no wonder that things went from 0 to 100 really quick. Right now, both of them do seem to be relatively drama-free. Selena recently returned to the States after spending 2 months in Paris to film the upcoming movie Emilia Perez alongside Zoe Saldana. She posted a photo appreciating the city and wrote, "Thank you Paris for being a home for me for 2 months. I loved every moment. Working on this film has completely changed my life. I can't wait to share more soon." So judging by some of these latest photos, it's pretty clear that she's moved on from all the chaos earlier this year and is just trying to live her best life offline. Now let's talk about why hashtag Team Orca is trending. Since 2020, orcas off the coast of Spain and Portugal have been ramming boats, biting rudders, and in some cases sinking entire vessels. Dozens of interactions between orcas and boats have been reported, and most of them have taken place off the Iberian coast. The orcas' motivations are not clear, but the behavior seems to be spreading among local pods. One recent interaction was reported as far north as the Shetland Islands, off the coast of Scotland. A shocking video was posted of the incident showing orcas interrupting a boat race in the Atlantic Ocean last week. The video shows them repeatedly rubbing against the ship's rudders. At least 2 boats have been sunk as a result of the attack, and incidents like this have left boats unable to steer their course and in some cases having to be rescued at sea. Desperate sailors have been trying all sorts of techniques to keep orcas away from the boats, like throwing sand over the side of the ship, navigating backward, and apparently they've even been hitting the orcas or throwing firecrackers and flares at them. Some have also tried throwing lemons in the water or hitting dishes and kitchen items to make noise, but none of that has been particularly effective. While this situation sounds like a nightmare for those at sea, there is now a growing number of people standing up for the orcas. A TikTok content creator named Birdie Sam is First Nations from the Eagle Killer Whale clan, and they started using the hashtag Team Orca to show their support for the whales. They said that the animals are actually displaying completely rational behavior because they just want to make their water safe. According to scientists, one orca may have been traumatized by a boat, and in its own agony it attacked a boat in revenge. Then other orcas learned to do the same. So what we're seeing now is a series of orcas attacking boats, and their children are learning to do the same thing, and it's become something of a sea war between orcas and people with boats. So this behavior is clearly something that the orcas are passing on to one another. And to be clear, this doesn't happen to every single ship. Reports state that there have been around 500 incidents since May of 2020, but for every 100 ships, only 1 of them will be touched by the orcas, and so far only 3 of them have actually been sunk. In some interactions there isn't even any physical contact, but the physical contact with ships that causes serious damage occurs in nearly 20% of interactions. While some people would be shocked to learn about this sudden aggression, it might have actually been a long time coming. For the years of torment against the orcas, it makes sense that some of them are fighting back against the boats, and those in captivity have it even worse. Tragically, a number of whales have died during their time in captivity at parks like SeaWorld. Shamu the orca was essentially the mascot of the parks for years, but since documentaries like Blackfish came out in 2013, the iconic whale has made headlines less and less. The documentary essentially aimed to showcase the sad reality of whales in captivity and truly expose the truth behind their lives inside these tanks. So much of the controversy comes from the fact that the orcas were forcibly bred, and they had several illnesses and many even miscarried. Although the park supposedly supports the killer whale research and conservation program, they continue to be controversial. As of now, SeaWorld hasn't officially got rid of its orcas. The only thing they did get rid of is their breeding program in 2016, which is still an excellent step towards the future of animal rights and protection. This means that the current ones at the park will be the last ones that ever lived there. Of course, they still have shows that demonstrate their orca whales, but these days they aren't so much for entertainment as they are for educational presentations. And now, why is Offset accusing Cardi B of cheating on him? In a since deleted Instagram story, the Migos rapper claimed that his wife and the mother of his 2 children was being unfaithful. Offset specifically accused her of sleeping with one of his friends. In response, Cardi took to Twitter yesterday to address the situation. She broke out in a song and said, "First of all, let me say, you can't accuse me of all the things you know that you are guilty of, and I see that it's easy for you to blame everything on me. Listen, don't pay attention to that country man." She said, "Stop playing," and countered the allegation by stating that Offset was only making these claims because he himself had engaged in sexual relations with another woman. Cardi basically said that he was attempting to shift the blame onto her for the actions that he knew that he was guilty of. She insisted that Offset is spiraling and thinking things that are simply not true. She reminded fans that she is in fact Cardi B, and said that if she was going to have an affair, then the secret would be out, because she's not just anybody. She explained that she's not in a position to hook up with a regular schmegular guy because he would tell the world. On the other hand, she said that she can't sleep with anyone in the industry either because they would tell too. So logically, she would not be able to get away with it if she actually did want to have an affair. There's just no way anyone would be able to keep that a secret given her celebrity status. But this isn't even the first time the couple have faced cheating allegations. In January of 2018, 2 months after Offset proposed, he was caught in the center of a scandal. Several shocking videos of him surfaced online, showing him in bed with multiple women. Of course, he refused to address the allegations in a Rolling Stone interview. Instead, he just said that this was his real life and said it's not a game. But Cardi, on the other hand, opened up a whole lot more about this incident. She took to Twitter and acknowledged the affair and said, "No, it's not right, but what do you want me to do?" She felt that if she were to break up with him and get into another relationship, then she would just get cheated on all over again. At the time, she said, "This happens to everyone and people handle their relationships differently." That same year, she did another interview with Cosmopolitan where she talked about the possibility of leaving him. She said, "I know I look good, I know I'm rich, I know I'm talented, I know I could get any man I want, any basketball player, football player, but I want to work out my stuff with my man, and I don't have to explain why." She also criticized the media scrutiny surrounding her personal life and said that she's going to take her time to make her own decisions about the situation. So at that point, everyone had been jumping down her throat trying to get her to break up with him. The couple tied the knot in Atlanta on September 20th of 2017. 5 days before their 3rd anniversary in September of 2020, Cardi filed for divorce after new allegations of infidelity. She later called it off and the two of them got back together. She spoke to Vogue in January that year and said, "Everyone has issues. I believe in forgiveness. I prayed on it. Me and my husband, we prayed on it. We had priests come to us and we just came to an understanding like it's really us against the world." She went on to say that Offset has her back for everything and she has his back for everything. So if he were to cheat, he would be betraying the person that has his back the most. She said, "For me, monogamy is the only way." After reconciling the first time, they welcomed their first child together, a daughter named Culture, who is now 4.5. They also share a 21-month-old son, Wave. So it's possible that whatever's happening right now is just another bump in the road. But we really have no idea how these latest allegations are going to play out. But let's talk about possibly the worst YouTuber apology ever made. Colleen Bollinger chose to respond to the allegations piling up against her with a ukulele song. This comes about 3 weeks after countless accusations that she formed inappropriate relationships with teenagers and emotionally manipulated her young fans. She posted a video yesterday to her Colleen Vlogs channel on YouTube where she insisted that everything that's come out about her was just lies and gossip, all while strumming a ukulele. She started off the 10-minute video by saying, "Some people are saying things about me that just aren't true. Even though my team has strongly advised me not to say what I'm going to say, I realize they never said I couldn't sing about what I want to say." She explained that early on in her YouTube career, she used to message her fans, not in a creepy way like a lot of people are trying to suggest, but more in a loser kind of way. She says that she was just trying to be besties with everybody, though she admitted that there were times that she would overshare, and eventually she changed her behavior and took accountability. In her song, she sings, "Thought you wanted me to take accountability, but that's not the point of your mob mentality. Your goal is to ruin the life of the person you despise, while you dramatize your lies and monetize their demise." There's even a recurring chorus in the video where she calls the allegations about her the toxic gossip train. At another point she's saying, "I'm sure you're disappointed in my little song. I know you wanted me to say that I was 100% in the wrong. Well, I'm sorry and I'm not going to take that route of admitting lies and rumors that you made up for clout." Colleen insists that the only thing she's ever groomed is her 2 Persian cats. She says that she's just a loser who didn't understand that she shouldn't respond to fans, claiming all of these stories about her boil down to a fart joke that she made 5 years ago. She also addressed the idea that her childlike character Miranda Sings has said some inappropriate things for kids, despite being made for a very young audience. Colleen claimed that she makes it clear that her content is PG-13 in nature, and that it's the responsibility of parents to decide what is and what isn't suitable for their children. Looking back on her videos though, you can see that she included more than just a few innuendos. She would often make references to Miranda's uncle attacking her and talk about X-rated films. All of this was catered to a young audience, and in this way her videos were able to slip past the detection of parents. Colleen acknowledged that she made jokes in poor taste and said she made a few dumb mistakes, but she insisted that it was not her intention to manipulate anyone. Since this video came out, it seems like it's all anyone's been talking about. Adam McIntyre, one of the first accusers, responded to the apology with a simple tweet. He wrote, "As much as Colleen discredited and made fun of me, I'm glad her video did one thing: show you all exactly the type of evil woman she is, that a lot of us have experienced over the past few years behind the scenes. The mask has slipped, everyone meet the real Colleen Bollinger. And people were really backing him up in the comments, speculating about what would happen to her channel next. Someone wrote, "She's banking on her older audience to just accept what she's saying and continue. I bet she makes a huge pivot on her channel. Maybe she'll pull a Brittany Dawn and become a faith influencer." There were even people comparing this video to other infamous apology videos and arguing about which one was worse. So far we have some pretty good contenders. It seems to be between Sienna May's interpretive dance apology and Laura Lee's fake crying apology. So it's really hard to say which one is worse, but Colleen's is definitely the standout of 2023. All jokes aside, the firestorm has really been a long time coming, considering that the first allegations came out 3 years ago, and it took a very long time for them to be acknowledged amongst the massive Miranda Sings fanbase. Adam was almost bullied off the internet when he made a video alleging that she had formed an inappropriate personal friendship with him while he was between the ages of 13 and 16, which included sending him lingerie as a joke. He also claimed that she gave him access to her social media accounts and that they exchanged text messages for years. He said that she would trauma dump on him all the time, and in one of his videos he said, "I was so involved in this woman's life that it's embarrassing to look back on. There were some days on a school night I would be up until like 4 AM trying to calm her down or trying to give her advice. It was a private thing." Of course, the only response Colleen seemed to have for this is that she shouldn't have been oversharing about her life, which is not the same as taking accountability. It's tough to say where she's going to go from here, or if she's going to try to make another video to fix this last one. But the way things are looking now, it's possible that she might not even have a platform anymore. Now, in even more disturbing news, Madonna was discovered unresponsive at a residence on Saturday. She was then rushed to the hospital and admitted to the ICU, where she was intubated overnight. Her longtime manager Guy O'Seary said that she had developed a serious bacterial infection, which led to a several-day stay in the ICU. Madonna is now out of the intensive care unit and recovering in a regular ward of the hospital. Her eldest daughter, Lourdes Leon, was said to have been by her bedside throughout the entire ordeal. At the moment, we still don't know what kind of bacterial infection she developed, though we do know that it was very serious. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention said that more than 20,000 Americans die from a range of serious bacterial infections each year. It's not clear what initially caused the infection, but doctors say it became very serious and required treatment in intensive care. Infections could develop into a life-threatening condition called sepsis or blood poisoning, which is a medical emergency that happens when the body develops an extreme reaction to the infection. Without the right treatment, it could lead to tissue damage, organ failure, and even death. Most often, initial infection that triggers these events starts in the lungs, the skin, the urinary system, or the digestive tract. Sepsis can happen to anyone with an infection, but it's more likely if someone is already run down, vulnerable, or unwell. Madonna was set to kick off her celebration tour in less than 3 weeks, but those shows have now been postponed because of her health crisis. She was scheduled to play 53 shows across North America and Europe, kicking off in Vancouver on July 15th. She'd promised to perform her greatest hits from 1983. She had promised to perform her greatest hits from her 1983 debut album through to her most recent record, Madam X. During her hospitalization, a statement was released to the public which read, "At this time, we will need to pause all commitments, which includes the tour. We will share more details with you as soon as we have them, including a new start date for the tour and for the rescheduled shows." Friends and famous fans of Madonna have now sent messages of support to her over social media. The Weeknd reposted the statement on his Instagram story with the caption "Sending prayers," and he also posted a black and white photo of Madonna. RuPaul's Drag Race judge Michelle Visage wrote underneath the announcement, "Take good care of our queen," and Isla Fisher wrote, "Sending her so much love." Rita Wilson also left a comment saying, "Sending Madonna my prayers for a speedy recovery." So far, there have been no recent updates on her health, but we do know that her children, Lourdes, David, and Rocco, are all in New York to support her. It's likely that Madonna was in the final stages of rehearsal in preparation for the tour, which by her standards was set to be absolutely spectacular. Back in 2009, she was awarded a Guinness World Record for the highest grossing music tour by a female artist. Forbes listed her as the 45th richest self-made woman in the US, with an estimated wealth of $580 million. They said that she earned around $1.2 billion from touring alone. In fact, she is so committed to her live shows that it seemingly got in the way of her biopic, which ended up getting scrapped in January. The movie was first announced in 2020, and Madonna was going to be directing and writing it. She released a statement saying, "I want to convey the incredible journey that life has taken me on as an artist, a musician, a dancer, and a human being, trying to make her way in this world. The focus of this film will always be music. music. Music has kept me going and art has kept me alive. There are so many untold and inspiring stories, and who better to tell it than me? It's essential to share the roller coaster ride of my life with my voice and my vision. In October of 2021, she announced that she was almost finished writing the script, and last June the news came out that Emmy and Golden Globe winner Julia Garner had won the role of Madonna. But that wasn't exactly easy. It came after a grueling weeks-long competition among a group of young actors like Florence Pugh, Alexa Demi, Odessa Young, and Bebe Rexha, who all attended singing and dancing boot camp with hopes of winning the role. The film was also set to star Uncut Gems actress Julia Fox, who was reportedly in talks to play Madonna's longtime friend Debbie Mazar. It all seems so promising, but after that we know that the project is no longer in development at Universal Pictures. Madonna said that her sole focus is now going to be on the tour, but she does remain committed to making a film about her life one day. Now let's talk about the orca attacks, because they just keep getting worse. Earlier this week, a pod of orcas came after a yacht off the Shetland Islands coast in the North Sea. This aggressive behavior is said to be leapfrogging across oceans, as these incidents have been increasing since 2020. In fact, the Atlantic Orca Working Group has reported a 298% rise in orca boat interactions in the last 3 years. And now, experts think that they know the cause of it. They believe that a traumatized female orca called White Gladys might be behind it all, and the other whales are learning from her and imitating the aggressive behavior. White Gladys started ramming boats in the summer of 2020, and recent reports suggest that she was pregnant when it all began. She later gave birth to her calf in 2021. Since orca pregnancies typically last for around 15 to 18 months, the timing suggests that she was probably pregnant when she started deliberately swimming up to boats. What's surprising is that the mother orcas typically look after their newborn calves for at least 2 years. And ramming boats isn't necessarily the safest behavior. Apparently she went up to the boats with her calf, so she was a lot more focused on the boats than on her baby. This unusual behavior has led scientists to believe that something bad happened to White Gladys, and that's why she's acting out of revenge, because of the trauma that she experienced. So she's something of a pioneer, and these interactions have become a bit of a fad in the local community. The activity wouldn't be uncommon though for killer whales, considering that they're highly intelligent and sociable animals. But there is also another theory behind her motivations. Some orca experts believe that her behavior isn't actually rooted in trauma or revenge. They think that she's just having a bit of fun. And the others are joining in too because they think it's a game. Renaud De Stefanis, a marine biologist, said that the animals were likely pursuing a massive adrenaline rush and nothing else. He said if 2 or 3 killer whales really attacked a yacht, they would sink it in a matter of seconds. It might feel like an attack to us humans, but a furious attack by this animal could have much worse consequences for a boat, and for whoever is on board than a mere feeling of fear for a few minutes. Another expert agreed with him and insisted that orcas never actually harm humans. He claimed that if they really wanted to do damage to harm the people on the boat, they could easily do that. So it's not actually what we're seeing, and we shouldn't be so quick to label it as an attack. But whatever the underlying cause is, this trend could have disastrous consequences for the orcas, because now humans are starting to take action. Researchers are planning to develop and test noise deterrents that are meant to try to scare them away. Desperate sailors have also reported all sorts of techniques to keep them away. Some have tried throwing lemons in the water or hitting dishes and kitchen items to make noise, but none of that has been particularly effective. They've also thrown sand over the side of the ship, tried navigating backwards, and what's really horrible is some of them have been hitting the orcas or throwing firecrackers and flares at them. So no matter what the cause of this is, sadly the whales are still being harmed in the process. What do you guys think about this latest story? Please let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next video.